God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, Brother Chris, welcome. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
So, I got introduced to you through a friend. You came to work for me, and kind of got your story from there. And it's a great testimony, to the power of God and to the power of recovery and the transforming power of Christ, right? And I feel like some relationships and God puts you in front of the right people at the right time, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that you have come into our, little sphere of influence here in Auburn and under FFR and have become a part of this recovery society, you know what I mean? Not just in Auburn, but you're doing your thing in Sacramento too. And just want to, give you some flowers and say I'm proud of you, you know what I mean? And from where you've come to where you are today and like the direction that you're heading. And, you have a bright future if you stay with this thing, you know what I mean? And so let's just take it all the way back and we'll get your story and go from there. Where are you from originally?
I was born in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Originally, and lived there for a couple years, and then we moved to Atlanta, Georgia.
You got siblings?
I have one younger sister.
One younger sister?
Yeah, 2 years younger than me, Velvet.
Okay. And you have mom and dad in the house, or?
For like the first 7 years of my life, I had mom and dad, and then dad got cancer, and it kind of broke up the household. Left us in the house with my family, my aunts and grandmas, and my younger sister.
He passed, or what?
No, he split.
Oh, he bounced.
Yeah.
He got cancer and then bounced?
Yeah.
Huh. What are some of your earliest memories?
Just being that really I don't remember too much of the life before that. Just when he left, I remember those times. I would remember some of the Christmases before that, getting all the presents and stuff like that a little bit. But
yeah,
being in the house with no electricity, playing one of my first memories I look back on was me and my sister playing cards in the candlelight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just sad thing is the most memories I remember from those ages were the traumatic memories.
Yeah. What were some of the traumas, just being in poverty and being in
not so much poverty. My dad owned a carpet company that was well off. So we lived in a nice house and was stable and stuff like that. I say stable, but my whole family was addicts besides my dad. But I was white in an all black school in Atlanta, Georgia. The neighborhood outside of my street was all Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, all the way around us.
So you felt a little bit out of place that way?
In a way, kind of.
Yeah.
In a way, I was confused, not really knowing what was going on, and then was adapting to the lifestyle that was around me, looking to it, not even knowing anything else,
Yeah. So your dad didn't use?
No.
And so, but your mom and
my
everybody
mom
else
and
was
everyone
using?
else was heroin addicts and alcoholics in the house.
And do you think that's part of the reason why your dad split, or what?
Yeah, I really can't pinpoint it, maybe because I didn't see all the addiction that early on. I didn't see what was going on behind the closed doors, but I know maybe being unhappy, carrying all that for years, and then hearing that you only have a few months left to live, and I don't know what the whole scenario really was
Yeah. So after he left, you lost touch and never heard from him again?
No. So a couple years later, we 8 months later, we got in a U-Haul and we moved to Ohio, where my grandma was a bartender. And like I said before, the age of 9, I stole my cousin's car and I got put in juvenile hall, which they tried to release me back to my mom, and my mom came to court drunk, probably in a psychosis, and the judge was trying to give me her back, and she's telling the judge, "You're not going to take my baby. So they put me into foster cares and stuff right then. And my dad came back probably about a month later and got my sister out and left me in there. But not knowing what I know now, I didn't know till I was 18 that he wasn't my real father.
Well, there was a lot there.
Yeah.
So you were 9 years old,
Yeah.
stole a car.
Yeah.
And what happened there? What?
I was 9 years old with the older girlfriend.
Okay.
That was like, man.
So you're going to see a girl.
I was going to go see a girl at 9 years old.
Gonna go pick her up.
I don't know what I was going to do. I was headed there, you know. And
And you didn't make it there.
I didn't make it. I got pulled over, and I didn't pull over.
So you took him on a hot one at 9 years old?
Yeah, 9 years old. And
I
ended up in juvenile hall.
Yeah. And what was that experience like?
I wanted my mom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
9 years old.
I remember that first night, and they're like, it was crazy. Like one guy was like pulling his eyelids, like talking about he's gonna kill himself, looking some kid, you know. And I'm just in there like, I just want my mom.
You're like where am I?
Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah,
you know. But
so you were in juvenile hall, and then you got court, and your mom shows up to the court date loaded.
Probably loaded and drunk from the night before. You know, like they lived at the bar. My grandma was the bartender, so they were there till 3, 4 in the morning every night. You know.
Yeah.
So
you guys lived at the bar.
Yeah.
Above it or something.
We lived in the alleyway right where the bar was at. Yeah, it was connected to the bar.
Yeah. So your mom shows up to the court date acting crazy, and they're like, "We're not releasing him to you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was their whole intention that day, was to release me. I remember that vividly. Like,
so what did that feel like when that happened? When
I really don't like think about the feelings of it. Maybe like, oh, this dumb, because I've seen her act up before, you know. And
but what did it feel like when you realized you're not going home? You're going somewhere else. Or did that even?
I really don't. It don't register with me. Like, how
you're
I felt
too
that
young
day.
to even really process that kind of emotion at that time. So where did it go from there? How did your life look after that?
I remember the feelings after that. Like I said, my dad came back and got my sister out of foster care,
but didn't take you.
But didn't take me.
And why was that?
Come to find out, when I was 18, I found out he wasn't my real father anyway.
Oh, wow.
So my mom would tell me when I was drunk, like whenever they'd be getting in fights or whatever, like, get away from him, he's not your real dad. And I'd just think, oh, you're drunk, you know? So I think that was part of the reason. Or maybe he couldn't even have got me back, but he is on my birth certificate, you know, so.
Interesting. Do you know your real father?
No.
Never met him?
Mm-mm. He died in Texas State Prison.
Okay. For what?
I believe a bad heart. He had a life sentence, and I never got to. By the time I realized that he wasn't, the guy that I called dad wasn't my biological father, and looked into it, he had already passed away.
So when he came and got your sister, did you feel like abandoned by that whole situation?
That's like where the first things of feelings came in. Like, what did I do so wrong? Like,
what's wrong with me?
Yeah, what did I do? Like, I'll change, or why? And like like you said, the abandonment for sure kicked in right then.
And how was your experience in the foster program? Like, did you have good caretakers or abuse or?
A little bit of all of it, you know, because how I look at it now, like I would run away from the people that. There was some good foster families, you know, that loved me and would try to help me, but...
So I'm not super familiar with that. So how long of a time span do you get shuffled around? No. I know like a foster, it's not a permanent thing, right? It's a temporary housing type of situation, but they can adopt you? They
can. Even if they don't adopt you, you could stay there for years, but... Like... The reason why I would get shuffled around in the beginning is because I would run or rebel or go crazy, and they'd get to the point where they couldn't handle it or whatever, and get me out of that household.
So you were acting up already. Yeah. You were a management problem.
Especially after my dad didn't come get me, and then I just rebelled. Like, I looked at it like, these people are telling me they love me. You don't love me. Like, the people that said they love me abandoned me, or you chose drugs, or whatever the case may have been at that time.
And what age were you at that?
10, 11.
Yeah. So you get shuffled around these foster programs. You're getting involved in stuff you shouldn't be. So when did substance abuse start? When was your first?
My first use of drugs was like 7 or 8 years old. Marijuana.
And how'd that?
My older cousin that I looked up to, that he also lived in the house with us in Georgia. He hung with all the older fellas. They were in that lifestyle of selling drugs and using drugs. And one day they told my dad, "Hey, we're gonna go cut his hair, and he's gonna do some work at my boy's house." And like I would hit the bong, and they would make me hold the weed till I passed out, and see how much smoke I blew, like just to laugh at me type stuff, you know?
Yeah. And how'd that make you feel? Like, do you remember enjoying it, or just like being part of, or what?
Exactly, that part right there. There wasn't even the enjoyment at that point, like it, but it was like whatever it was, I had to be around them. So if it was being choked out, to kick it with them, and you know, that's what it was going to happen at that age.
Yeah, I know that feeling too. I'm a younger brother, so it was like, you know, whatever I could do to hang out with the older kids didn't matter. You know what I mean? So where did it go from there? You were using in the foster program.
Yeah,
was that causing issues? Were you using to escape the way that you felt already from those abandonment problems?
I really can't say what I was using for. Mostly, if I look back at it, like honestly, it was the lifestyle that I was like attracted to, the older homies, and whatever they was doing was it looked cool to me. That was my version of what a real gangster was, or a real man was at that point. Like, but I really can't say it was about my feelings. That when looking back at it, for sure, it was probably about stuff that happened while I was a kid and stuff like that. But not knowing right then, I'm gonna get high to numb myself.
Yeah, no, it's always just like a subconscious thing, really,
for sure.
You know, so you were just kind of attracted to that street life. Where do you think that came from? Lack of a father figure, or were you just attracted to that lifestyle? Just being around.
I think the number one thing was music.
Music,
and my older cousin that I looked up to, that lived the lifestyle that I heard in the music. It was attractive at that point. Like,
yeah, I know it's that influence. It's crazy, bro. Like how influential that music can really be.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And yeah, if you have people around you that are doing it, and like you look up to these people. For me, it was like what I saw on TV and like video games and music. You know, it developed this picture of what a man was to me and how a man acted, and you know, and not and my dad wasn't even like that, you know what I mean? But my dad wasn't around a lot, you know, so it was like, and I wasn't trying to be like my dad, you know what I mean? I want to be like this guy, you know what I'm saying? The guy that had the money, he's got guns and drugs and fast cars and women and the whole thing, you know what I mean? And yeah, when you're just like constantly bombarding your brain with those things, it's like you're gonna find that. You know what I mean? You're gonna seek it out, and you know you're gonna find that. How did that lifestyle of, you know, crime and, you know, the streets progress in Ohio that way?
So it progressed by like, so I'm running away from these foster homes, and then I'm going to basically live with drug dealers and people in trap houses and bagging up drugs and holding guns and just being a little errand boy out the gate. Like like I said, I'm gonna do whatever I can to be around these people. So whatever it was, I was ready to do just to be accepted.
Yeah.
And I thought I found love there. Like they'd buy me new shoes or let me even be around. I'm like, oh, they must love me, you know. So
and you don't think it was real?
Looking back, no.
Yeah,
not at all. Because they could have told me to do the right thing, go to school and all this stuff, and I would have listened to them because I put them on a pedestal and looked up to them, and you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard because it's like, you know, hurt people, and like we pushed that upon ourselves. You know what I mean? They probably didn't know any better either. They had their own issues that got them into that place, and like we perpetuate that lifestyle onto the youngsters that way. I'm guilty of it too. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being that guy on the street with guns and drugs and little homies around, and like, you know, you're doing the same shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, as far as the love thing goes, like, it's real in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, it feels real, and like, I have some relationships that I developed in that lifestyle that, like, we really struggled together. You know what I mean? And like, we really went through some traumatic experiences together, and like, trauma bonded over these experiences. You know what I mean? And like, when you're dirt poor with somebody, or you go through a heavy situation with somebody, like, that feeling is real, and like, you really share love with those people. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know,
How long will
it last? You know, and when that relationship is built off a foundation of, you know, money and like the street life, you know, it's a shaky foundation. You know what I mean? And it's bound to fail. But it doesn't mean that love wasn't necessarily real in the moment. You know what I mean? But so you started getting in trouble when you're a teenager, right? How did that progress?
Fast, just from stealing stuff to breaking into houses to violence.
Yeah.
Like, just overnight, it was like, originally just start stealing bikes around the neighborhood or whatever the case may be, selling drugs.
Yeah.
And then it was just like head first into everything that was going on around me.
Yeah. Just progresses.
Yeah.
And along with your drug use, progressing with it, or what?
Yeah. Any drug that they were doing, I was willing to do at the time.
Yeah.
No matter what it was, like.
And eventually you moved out of Ohio, or?
Later on, so after probably 5 or 6 foster homes, like, I just wasn't getting it, you know, and my probation officers would put me, like, I had a foster mom that really got me out of jail like 4 or 5 times. I'd be fighting at school, or got caught with a gun, and they put me in a boys ranch where I stayed for about 1.5 years, 2 years. So that was like a military thing, which that like took me out of the streets for a while, where I was like isolated at this one place. But yeah, I eventually moved back out of Ohio when I was like almost 18 years old.
And where'd you go?
Back out here. That where my dad that previously left, like, got a hold of my probation officer because I was fighting all this time out there for attempted murder, and he told my probation officer out there, got a hold of the courts, like, man, he's never had a chance. I left him there, and I want to be a father, and I want to give him a clean slate, and I moved back out to California.
And how old were you when you got this attempted murder?
14 and a half, 15.
And what led up to that?
People, places, and things. The lifestyle just hurt people, like you said, you know.
You just got caught up in the moment, and
I just felt like at the time I felt like this older guy was trying to punk me in front of these girls, and and I shot him twice.
Was it just a reaction, or do you feel like it was?
Yeah, just being punked at that age. You like, I'm seeing all these guys that
and if you talk really an option.
If you talk to them that kind of way, they're gonna do something to you. And I felt like, why would this fool get at me like that especially in front of these girls? Like, he was trying to be big and bad, you know. So, not that fighting was an option, but not when I had a gun on me and you're 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
I wanted to prove a point.
Yeah. And so how did that change your life?
For the worst.
Yeah.
Because I had no remorse after that. Like, no.
You just felt like you were all in.
Yeah, I'm all in. Like, don't play with me. I'm going to hurt you if you do. And I'm going to take it to the extreme. Like, I think about that now. Like, I was an extremist from a little kid, like 0 to 100 real quick. Like, no breaks.
Yeah. So your dad kind of finessed to get you out of Ohio.
Yeah, after it was about 3.5 years after it happened. Yeah.
So you were in juvenile hall that whole time, or what?
No, there was a youth authority out there too, a YA.
Okay. So you were in YA, and then you did your time for that?
Yeah, I got sentenced to 7 years, and they reduced my sentence at that point because I was about to turn 18. Yeah.
So you get out, and you're just like,
No, I get out straight out of the institution. My probation officer at the time takes me to the airport,
so
and
it was already.
they put me on the plane and told me I'm not allowed back here without supervised adults.
Yeah, they're like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, get out of here, for sure.
Yeah. So you get to Cali, and then what?
I moved to South Sacramento, and I'm right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Right, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
back. And it was no time that I was back into the street life heavy.
Yeah.
It started with my dad grew a lot of weed, and he wanted me to sell the weed, and I don't know, and I started just selling weed and just jumped in head first aggressively.
Yep. Did you have any aspirations? Like, did you want to be anything? Like, did you have any goals, focus, or was it
A
just
baller,
yeah,
a gangster, someone feared.
yeah,
That was it. No big hopes and dreams.
yeah?
Not since a young age, you know.
And you had already been in that world, so it's like, to completely change directions is kind of a
Change wasn't even presented to me yet. I didn't
Yeah.
know what change looked like. No one, I say that no one offered me a way out, because the people that did, I just automatically put a block on it. Like the people when I was in youth authority and stuff, and told me, hey, don't gangbang, don't use drugs.
yeah,
It was someone reading it from a book, so I didn't pay it no mind.
yeah, yeah. It's tough. It's like people told me too, and I had seen people fail. You know what I mean? I had seen people fucking die, seen people getting locked up, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I felt like I just had to experience it for myself, and then also felt like it wouldn't happen to me too, especially with addiction. I just felt like for whatever reason it just wouldn't happen to me. You know what I mean? I could use without being addicted, and I was able to for years, but once I got caught up in opiates, it's a whole different ball game. You start to really become physically addicted.
Yeah.
So,
different demon.
yeah. So how did your drug use progress when you moved to Sacramento?
So, partying every weekend, me
Yeah.
and my boys would steal alcohol and go to a house party, sell the alcohol, and stay there, drink all the alcohol. I was big on coke at the time and ecstasy, mainly ecstasy. Just like you say, it was like a party for me then. Everything was fun. Everything was still exciting. And I still think I didn't see the downfall to addiction till later on. I didn't get to see the signs of families ruined, losing everything, dying. I didn't see those side effects from the addiction early. I seen the glamorous lifestyle, the ballers. I was around the people that had all the work, or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, jail. But I had already been to jail, so that wasn't a bad thing to me. At that time, as crazy as it sounds, prison was on my bucket list to do. I needed to do that to be accomplished.
Yep. I know. Once you get locked up, the fear of jail goes away.
Yeah, for sure,
and it's no longer a punishment. It's just part of the program.
Sad but true. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're involved in that lifestyle, it's you're just gaining clout.
Yeah.
The more time you do, the more, trips you do. You know, especially if you're involved in gangs and you're involved in gangs in prison, you know, you're just ranking up every time you go and put in more work. And it's like, you know, and you know this better than anybody. It's like people that spend a bunch of time in prison, they become somebody in prison.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to live out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
so you see them come in and out, and it's like they don't know how to exist on the streets. But they're nobody out here.
Yeah.
They can't hold a job. You know, they're living on mom's couch, or they're just bouncing around girls' houses, you know, and it's like they go to prison, they're somebody. You know, they have power in there, they have respect in there, they have hustle in there, whatever it is, and they don't know how to live out here. You know what I mean? You become institutionalized, you know what I mean? And it's like, why even be out here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just come out, they get a bag, and they get caught up, and they go right back in there, you know? And it's definitely no fear of it or anything like that. It's just, it becomes that lifestyle, you know? And it's tragic for young men, you know, to get caught up in that institution, but it's real. So what age did you get involved with gangs?
Like 13.
13. So back in Ohio, in YA or what?
No, on the streets
out there,
Columbus, Ohio.
And so when you moved to Sacramento, it was just
The same gangs in Sacramento.
Yeah.
You know, it's world statewide. You know, so
Yeah.
I started kicking with those guys, and then later on, like the neighborhood that I was in South Sac, the Gardens, was affiliated with all those guys.
Yeah.
And it's two gangs: it's Crips and Northerners. And then like getting to prison later, like you have to choose like which one you are, and like obviously, like since I wasn't African American, people were like, "Man, you're a homie. You mess with the homies in the hood, like just go in as a Northerner."
Yeah. Do you feel like, you know, the gang life, you know, it's often about like seeking validation and seeking like community, right? Family. Do you feel like you got that through gangs, or do you feel like you were seeking that through gangs, not having a father, not having a stable family environment?
Yeah, for sure. Initially, like blind to a lot of what was going on, or like their propaganda, but like for sure, I felt the family, the love, I felt all that I didn't have in the household or whatever, for sure. And that's like one of the main things that attracted it to me.
Yeah. That brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, did you have any success in the streets? Did you become what you wanted to be? Or were you just using and abusing and
this image of what I thought I wanted to be?
Yeah.
For someone to fear me and have respect and stuff like that. Yeah, I had that. But I had to do things to earn that. Like you say, you level up in that thing. And then also behind the walls, like trying to be someone. Like you say, like, it's what you say so true. Like some of the people in there that got the keys, call the shots, have your life in their hands. They're on the streets doing nothing, breaking into cars, but in prison they can get you killed by a kite. You know what I'm saying? And their word goes. And like I would strive to have that status. Like more than one time, I'd raise my hand for things to get that stripe.
So what landed you in the California prison system?
My first term was a felony invading and a gun.
So how did that experience go? Where did you go?
My first term, I went through Tracy reception, and I ended up mainlining on Tracy yard, the yard right there. Yeah.
And you were already affiliated with the Northerners in there, so you just kind of clicked up and went that way. And it's a whole different environment in there, right? As far as the politics and like the structure of the gang in there and what you can and cannot do. Is that the same as it is in the streets, or do you feel like it's different than it is on the streets?
To me, it's different.
Yeah.
You know, because it's stricter. It's more confined area. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
You got to be on your toes. You got to watch what's going on, or you can't be a victim. But it applies the same on the streets. It depends like how structured your gang was on the streets, and like it was more loose on the streets because you got people that's in their addiction, people that's not in their addiction, people that's claiming it, or like people that's really in the mix. You know, so
Right.
in prison it weeds those people out.
Yeah.
Like
And
if you wasn't with the movement or whatever was going on, you was out of there.
Yeah. And now the Northerners you're not supposed to be using in there, right?
You're not allowed, no.
How real is that?
The crazy thing is, man, I would look back at it. I would stay clean for a year, be in prison doing 2.5, and stay clean and have no problem doing it because I'm not willing to get whacked or have a bad name based on it. But I'll parole to a gun and dope and get high the day I got out.
That's interesting. Do you feel like you've always been an addict as far as your drug use is concerned?
For sure, yeah.
So what do you think it was that was able to keep you sober while you're in there? Just the fear of
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The name I'm going to get after what happens.
Yeah.
The lasting effect of the aftershock, you know?
Yeah.
And that really messed me up for a lot of years because I would say, man, I can get clean for these dudes in prison, but I can't get clean for my family on the streets.
Yeah, I know. That's what's crazy is like, I know for me.
And I see that happen with a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it happened with me too. It's like, dude, I'm completely powerless. That's why it's kind of a mind fuck to even think about that is because it's like, I can't stay sober for myself. You know what I mean? I can't stay sober for my children. Like none of that. Like when I'm using, I'm completely powerless. So to be able to stop in there and like have some clean time because of, I guess, a strong enough reason, right?
Yeah, fear.
Yeah.
Fear of the wrong thing, though.
Yeah.
Of what these people think of me or what.
Yeah.
Not fear of losing my family and, I don't know, it's sick.
It is sick.
Yeah.
It's sad. So your first term, you just did a quick little two.
I did a 2.5. I think I called like an extra 90 days or whatever for a removal, and just a hands-on removal. At the time, it was a level 2 yard. Still headfirst into everything, trying to what they call glitch. Getting all the information, trying to learn all the little things so I can level up. But just at the end of it, it sent me home worse than I went in. Because, like, our conversations in there wouldn't be about a change or nothing like that. It's like, what you got going on out there? Like, oh, that's how you did that? Or, oh, you got the hookup on guns and drugs? Like, that was my daily conversation. I'm meeting friends. Like, I'm meeting new homies in other towns and just...
Yeah, networking. And then when you become a part of a prison gang, like, you're networked through the whole state now. And, you know, and you're all connected that way. So... where did it go from there when you got out? Just jumped right back in the street.
Back into a gun and dope the same day. Released, you know. Planned a month before I even go home. Like, have that there that day for me. I need that.
Yeah.
Because at the time I felt like all the dirt I was into before is still going to catch me. It's waiting on me. I need that. I'm not going to get, I'd rather get caught with it than without it mindset.
Yeah.
And just setting myself up for failure.
Yeah. That's a tough one to break too. It's like even in sobriety, bro. It's like I still feel that way sometimes. You know, it's like that's a hard mentality to get out of. You know, so when you like lived with it for so long and like always carry a gun, like just always have a gun.
Yeah.
You know, and so to not have one, and it's hard, bro. But you know what? I've had to give that power to Christ. You know what I mean? And like, what is His will in my life? You know what I mean? Because it's like, why am I trying to control this situation? You know, and it's hard, bro. It's hard, like as a father and like having a family and feeling like you need to protect your family and like, I don't want to. I'd rather be caught with it than without it.
Yeah.
regardless of the situation. You know what I mean? But trying to live, Christ wouldn't be carrying a pistol.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, really, are you really trying to live this way or not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are you really going to give that to God or not?
Yeah.
You know, and it's a hard thing to do, bro.
Yeah, I didn't shake that feeling until this last time I'm getting out. Like, I've even had my daughter ask me, like, Dad, you're not worried about all the stuff that you've done out here, like seeing somebody and stuff like that? And I just have to completely put my faith in God and say, I feel as long as I'm doing His will, like I got that hedge of protection over me, and I'm not in those places even though it's all around me, like I'm not stopping, I'm not interacting with the streets, I'm not. So I feel I have faith that whatever happens, but I feel like as long as I'm doing His will, I'm good to go.
And just trying to stay out the way, you know, like you said, not going to those places, hanging out with those people. And, like, you know, when you're not putting yourself in those positions, you're way less likely to be caught up in a scenario where you need it. You know what I mean? Sure. Whereas if I'm carrying a pistol, the likelihood of me using a pistol are way through the roof. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And, like, I'm typically the perpetuator of these violent situations, you know? So it's like, am I going to be able to not pull that pistol out if I'm being, you know, aggravated? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm backed into a corner and somebody's, you know, getting sideways with me, road rage, whatever the situation is, I can probably handle it without it, you know? But if you have it on you, the likelihood you're going to pull it out and use it is way higher.
Yeah, I came to that. That's like the realization I came when I got home this last time. Like, am I willing to get just caught on this, get pulled over, get caught with it, and go do 5-6 years just for having it? Right. Or am I, like, also if it's on me, like the likelihood of me using it is very high, especially like at that point in time when I feel like that, you know, and I think too, because there's been incidents where I have seen people from my past or whatever, and because like I'm not in the streets and I'm not portraying to be like I'm still out here, I'm a threat. Like I've had passes by people, you know, that they turn the other cheek, like, oh, you're not even in the mix no more. Yeah, you know, so they're not worried about it. But like that gun could have been on me that day or whatever, and I would have pulled it. We would have banged it out right there in the gas station, you know, out of fear, each other's fear, and that's usually what it is. 99% of the time, you get busy out of fear. Yeah, it's crazy. So you hit the streets after your first term, feeling like you're the man, or what? Super, just plugged in. Yeah, more connections. Yeah. How long were you out? The first time, no longer than 4 months. 4 months. Yeah. And you got caught up for what? My second term, I got caught up for a gun in internal possession. I swallowed it? I swallowed when I got pulled over. They saw you swallow it? No, they didn't swallow. They didn't see me swallow it. I swallowed 50 ecstasy pills in 2 separate baggies because I got pulled over and I was known to have a gun, and I was thinking, man, the gun's tucked. They're not going to find nothing. Yeah. I'm just going to wait till they let me go, and I'm going to throw it up. And the bag busted in my stomach when I was in the back of the cop car. Ooh. So you were on like shit. Gone. For years. I was dizzing for years, you know what I'm saying? I would be excited talking to you or drink some orange juice, and I'd be looking at you with a thiz face like what's wrong with the homie? I'm good. What are you talking about? Like yeah, gone. So what did they do? Take you to the hospital, pump your stomach? They took me to the hospital, and some detectives came in the hospital room while I was out. Like, what did you swallow? Delusional. No, not. They knew what I swallowed. They did. Okay. Yeah, I didn't. The charcoal didn't go into effect yet, but they were like, my name and in the mix. They're trying to question me, get me caught up on things that had previously been happening. They try to say, hey, we've been following you for 3 days. Mm-hmm. You can make this easy on yourself. And in my head, I'm John Gotti. Like, I'm thizzed out. I'm like, you'll never find the money. The kids are safe. And out of my mind. And then I realize I'm going to jail. I see my handcuffs are, I'm cuffed to the bed, and my wrist is bleeding from going crazy in the bed for so long. and like it hits me like, oh, you're going to jail, dummy.
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
You know?
That ecstasy's a wild one, bro.
It was a wild trip.
That's crazy. So where'd you go from there? Back in?
I was hospitalized for a while, for about 20 days, and then I went to the county jail on the charges.
In Sac County?
In Sac County.
Yeah. And then back to prison?
Back to prison.
Back to Tracy?
No, San Quentin. At the time, Tracy was shut down for whatever reason.
Okay.
And I went to San Quentin.
And how'd
so
that...
like, you feel like you're leveling up.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're going to a new place.
Next
like,
level.
Like, next level. Like,
yeah. What level yard were you hitting?
That was still a reception. So that was just everyone integrated.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And where'd you go after reception?
Well, I called a shoe term in reception for a stabbing during a riot. And I went to Corcoran Shoe. This was 2009 for a stabbing.
How big was the riot?
Well, it was probably like 60 African Americans, and it was like they only let like 20 of us out, 20 Northerners.
So 60 on 20?
Yeah.
Now, typically you guys are together, right?
Yeah, but like, so we had previously gotten a riot a couple weeks ahead of that, before that. So like at the time they'll like let out groups at a time. So it was our first day going back to walking to chow for breakfast. And we had already got told the night before when the chow door, we were already going to kick it back off. You know what I'm saying? So when we were told when the chow doors closed that they get busy. And we were in a chow hall with a concrete wall in between us. So when one side would get busy and the cops would finally get them down, the other side would get busy. And when the cops would run over here to do it, we'd get back up. And it was just, man, it seemed like forever, like a 5-minute riot, just sticking and moving.
And how was that? Just like straight chaos? Like you're just one guy to the next?
Yeah. I had already learned from previous riots in the county and in prison, just keep moving.
Stick and move.
Yeah, stick and move.
Yeah. Don't get cornered.
Yeah, I had a weapon on me.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to touch everything I can with this tomahawk.
Geez, so was that all on camera and like you got formally charged, or was just everybody?
I actually got charged with the piece that was laying by me that wasn't even the weapon I was using.
Okay.
But I was covered in blood too, so.
So you go to Corcoran Shoe, and how's that experience?
I made it.
Made it.
I'm a big dog.
I'm here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get at me.
Yeah.
I should have grew the mustache and everything.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Big bro shot. I can just been
walked with my head up when I hit the yard. Like, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I made it. That's how I felt.
Man. How long were you back there?
Till I paroled. I did almost an extra year for that because the DA rejected the DA referral. So all they could do was give me the 365-day shoe term to max my sentence out.
And were you in solitary, just like...
Yeah, Corcoran Shoe was solitary confinement, 1 hour out a day.
23 and 1.
23 and 1.
Dog cage exercise or
dog
what?
Kennels, no free movement, cuffed every time I come out of my cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that affect you in any way, or were you just kind of used to it already? Is that your first time really being isolated like that?
Well, like Sac County's a lot like that.
Yeah.
23 and 1, day room once a day. Not so much like no interaction with people.
Yeah.
But
isolated. Yeah. Yeah.
But
so you parole from the hole back to the streets.
Back to the streets.
Just right back on.
With another stripe. Like look at me.
Yeah.
The streets, they already know what's going on.
2-termer.
They already hear everything. Dang, you hear about the homie.
He got off.
He got off, put in work, and you know.
Yeah.
So the streets embraced it with open arms.
And how old were you?
21.
Youngster.
Yeah.
Man. So then what?
Prison again. Parole to gun and dope, back in the streets.
How long were you out for at that time?
90 days.
90 days.
No more than 3
and
or 4 months
you're
every
on
time.
parole. Are you just absconding or what?
Most of the time I would.
You checking in?
Some of the times I paroled, I'd go the first day.
Yeah.
But by the time the 30-day thing to come to check in for the monthly, I got no address. I'm kicked out of my family's house.
Yeah.
I'm on the run.
Pissing hot.
Yeah, I'm dirty out the gate.
Yeah.
I might stay clean to go do the first one.
Right.
You know? But yeah, usually after that first month, it's a warrant for my arrest for absconding.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I was already like, whenever I had that warrant for the little absconding, I'm going balls to the wall, like catch me when you can.
Yeah.
I'm getting the F-it syndrome and making my case 10 times worse.
Yeah. So would you get caught up gun again or what?
The second time was the gun in the internal possession.
Okay. So then you're back in.
The third time was another felony invading. Because I got gun and dope. They didn't find the gun and dope. Yeah, so just high-speed specialist.
Back in Sac County.
Back in Sac County. Back in the same judge that sentenced me 2 years prior to that, 3 years prior to that.
Yeah.
With my records, just my charges adding up, you know.
And do you have any positive influence at this time, like asking you, what are you doing? Or is it everybody just egging you on that from the street?
I had
like, what's your family saying?
Like I didn't really have family because I went to foster homes and everything. So the family that I did have,
you lost contact.
I lost
with your
contact
mom?
with my mom was in Ohio still at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was an addict still. Like I would get the letters from her when I'm in jail. You know, look, the $40 money orders a month. You know, the mom thing being there for me. Praying that I do better and stuff like that, but still in her addiction. But as far as like positive role models, no, but I can't say that I didn't have people who like, man, you need to change. Like, look what you're doing. Like, mostly like my kid's mom, like your kids need you. So that's about it.
When did you have your first kid?
When I was 18.
18. And that was in California?
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough to change your mind about?
No.
Yeah.
I felt like the things I was doing in the streets was to justify, like, I'm doing this because I got a kid coming. I'm robbing people because I'm got to take care of what I got going on instead of just getting a job or whatever. And really just wrapped up in that, like it was my first year on meth. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. Like I didn't have those feelings like I got a baby coming. Like, but I look back at it like I would tell myself like I robbed that fool because I want to get my daughter something, or you know,
trying to rationalize your behavior
for sure.
Yeah. How did that meth change your life?
That was a whole nother different level, different devil.
Yeah, and are you smoking or shooting or
I'm
what?
smoking at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, smoking, snorting.
When did you get introduced to needles? When did that leap happen?
So 8 years ago on it was the election of the night Donald Trump became president the first time. Yeah. That night I remember it vividly.
Just randomly, or is that just
like no? So I had been smuggling drugs in for years at this time.
Okay.
And my cellie would be knotted on the desk, and I'd be like, man, it ain't even that good, but I'm like snorting in it out of a Visine bottle, a gram at a time, and he's doing a little match head and over here knotted up, throwing it like. He's like, man, that's fire. And I just watched him for months do that. And I always told myself, like, coming home to seeing my mom with a needle in her arm, I'll never do that. I'll never stick a needle in my arm. And, like, one day I'm like, let me try it. But heroin wasn't really my thing at that time. So I'm like, I want to do it with meth. And the next day at visit, I was supposed to bring in meth. So I didn't do none that day. But as soon as I brought the bundle back the next day, I'm like, man, I need my shot. And he's like, if you're going to go big, you go home. So I got the biggest shot I've ever did, and chased that high forever. Yeah.
Damn.
And seeing everything that was going on, like, is this real? Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Change your whole outlook.
Yeah.
So your third term,
I went for a felony invading. Again. I got sentenced to 2.5. Then going in there, trying to be all I can be again, raising my hand for things. I was 33 days to the house, and I caught attempted murder in prison.
33 days to the house.
Yeah, my dress outs were there in Tracy. I was going home in a month.
Do you feel like you were afraid to go home?
No. Because
you just were trying to be super
not really
gangster.
that, just super gangsters, super want to do this, and the part I had in the removal they usually don't get caught. So I was gonna be the hitter, and in that structure you have someone that hits them and someone that cleans it up. So they just get on them with hands after that till the cops come. So the person that already did the dirty work is already tucked away.
Out the way, yeah. But it didn't work out that way.
For 24 hours. They came and got me the next morning. Kukui, IGI came and got me the next morning out of my cell. Because on an active yard, 20 plus, man, I forget the word they use for it. Not confidential informants, but people that write reports saying, oh, it was the white northerner that was involved. Da-da-da.
How'd that feel? Were you tripping or were you just like, whatever?
No, there wasn't even tripping. They didn't even hit me yet.
So
they don't got nothing.
Yeah.
Prove it.
So, and where were you?
I was in Tracy reception.
In Tracy. So when you get a charge like that, you go to the county judge, or it's all takes place inside the system?
So you get a DA referral, and the DA has up to a year to pick it up, reject it, or accept it. And it was like maybe like 4 days before their time restraint. If they wouldn't have picked it up, the case would have had to been dropped, and they picked it up. So after my prison term was over, I had to go back to San Joaquin County and fight.
So you went to county.
I went back to county, to San Joaquin County, and fought the attempted murder from right there.
And did you take it to trial, or what did you do?
So I had another co-defendant, and we're looking at 38 years of life for almost 2 years. Put buku bucks on a lawyer. My Cody at the time had 3 strikes already. And a week before trial, he came into the courtroom. The DA came in.
He was already struck out.
He wasn't struck out because they gave him the 3rd strike, but without the life sentence. Okay. But he got doubled up, and he already had like 16 years. And the DA came in one day and was like, "Man, I'm gonna give you guys a one-time offer right now. 10 years and 2 strikes for me, and 10 years for him, without washing him, without giving him his final strike and giving him 25 to life." And my co-defendant like jumped on it at the time, like, "Gotta take this."
And was it one of those deals that you have to take together?
Yeah, it was. He's my co-defendant. Our case wasn't severed, and they wasn't gonna sever it. Yeah.
So you took that deal.
Yeah, the next day.
10 at 80%.
85.
85.
Yeah. Only 2 years with half.
30 to the house.
33 days to the house.
Rough.
Yeah.
But you weren't.
So at that point, I did start tripping.
Yeah.
Like resentments towards the guys, like.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, you should have told me to sit down. But and I look back, I say that, but I raised my hand. I told him, like I'm hearing about it on the kites because I got the keys to the building that I'm in at the time, me and my boy, because we had the most status, the most prison terms under our thing, and I'm hearing about what's gonna happen, and I'm like, I'll knock that down. I'm gonna handle that. I need that. You know what I'm saying? So, but 33 days to the house. If you say you love me, you're gonna tell me, man, if you don't go sit on your bunk,
yeah, I know.
You know, like you don't go read a book.
Yeah. And then it ended up being a mistake too, right?
Yeah, it was a bad call. It was a bad call. The guy that got hit is still active to this day.
Yeah. Do you have remorse for that? Or were you just, I mean, at the time you were just kind of following protocols.
Yeah, I don't, like, I feel bad for any victim that I've hurt in my life while I was in that lifestyle, but like initial remorse when it happened, no.
Yeah. Did you feel rejected when they rejected you for that?
So years down the line, I didn't even know I was rejected. I was in cork and shoe almost 3 years later, still in the shoe term for the things that happened. And they're still playing it like it's cool with me that I'm still good.
But they're just waiting for you to hit the yard.
They're waiting for me to hit the yard. My Cody hit the yard and he got life flighted his second day on the yard.
They fucking whacked him.
Stuck him so many times and they life flighted him in the plane.
He survived?
He survived.
Jeez. So you caught wind of that, and you're like, "Hey."
A guy from my neighborhood was on the same tier for me, and wrote me up, and he goes, "Man, I love you. I don't want to see what they're about to do." And then he basically broke it down and told me that you've been on the bad news list for some time now. They're just
playing you.
Yeah.
Damn. Talk about no love.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's crazy. The people, I love you.
Like,
hey, you need a soup? Like keeping me fed back there while just to stuffing me up to go stuff me out there. Yeah,
you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. After like being willing to like really put that work in and like take life for these people.
Yeah.
And then they turn around just like nothing. Like,
yeah,
we're gonna take your life for.
Yeah,
being
like
involved in that.
just for based on like there was proper channels that I was supposed to go through when it all happened, but all the information that's coming about the guy is coming from the hole. So we're thinking it's someone good in the whole time sending these things, and it was someone that was already considered no good, just hating on this guy. Like in that gang in prison, there's power struggles between cities and ranks and big dog and little dog, and it's just a lot of hate.
Check that paperwork
I could have did more
whatever.
checking.
Yeah.
Like being that I was educated, like I knew other avenues to go down instead of just green light go.
So you go do 3 years in the shoe for that?
I did 49 months.
49 months in the shoe. And how did that go? By yourself? Did you have a cellie in there?
No, not at that point. I had a cellie still.
Okay.
Just different. So I
and
stepped.
This was Corcoran, you said?
I was in Corcoran shoe, Pelican Bay shoe, and Tehachapi shoe.
Jeez.
All the shoes.
Yeah.
Just
what was the worst?
Tehachapi.
And why is that?
COs.
COs, yeah. They can change your whole life.
Yeah.
They just change your whole world.
They changed my dental. I got missing teeth because of them.
Damn, from mouthing off or what?
No, I ended up getting a ride on the yard there after I got out of the shoe, and I got in a ride. I'm zip tied and whatever, and they're taking me to the program office. And
tune me up a little bit.
I'm the reason the riot kicked off, and he's like, "Man, you just think you're hot shit out here. Like we know you're selling drugs. I'm getting people removed off the yard. You think you're untouchable." And I'm like, "Man, why is it every time someone's in cuffs around here, y'all turn into gangsters, you know?" And the warden of the prison was sitting on the yard. There's like a 70-man riot on the yard, and then like all the chain of commands all lined up across the program office, and like the warden's right there, and he's like wrenching my wrist up, and he's like, "Ain't this excessive force?" Like basically telling on him, like, "Look at what he's doing to me." And he walked me into the program office, and as soon as he walked me into the program office, he hit me like, "Shut up, snitch!" Boom, and his ring just shattered my whole tooth. And the worst whooping I ever got in my life, I got whooped for what felt like it forever. I looked like Hellboy when they were done with me.
So you hit the yard off of that shoe term?
Yeah, eventually. After the 49 months, I got kicked. They have it's a level 4 180 right there, a shoe kick out yard. So that's where all the shoe kick outs, everyone that's with the movement, it's like no people, 75% of that yard is lifers.
Yeah. And that's super political.
And at the time, it was an S&Y yard.
Okay.
And it was
because you had already been deemed.
Yeah, I got deemed, and I stepped back.
Yeah.
So
but it's still
worse than any active yard I've ever been on.
Because they're not as political, right? Because
it's weird to say they're more political.
Interesting.
Like there's people over there that's on there for reasons like me, and then there's ex-gang members that got pushed back and they don't feel like they deserve to be pushed back, and then over there
feel like they have their name to redeem.
That, and they're like they can't let go of that lifestyle, so they're starting gangs over there,
right?
And it's a power struggle.
Yeah, interesting, but it doesn't have the same structure though, right? Like,
and that's what made it worse because on the active yard.
And is it still separated by race on those S&Y yards, or is it more
California in general, no matter what, it's segregated.
Yeah.
Like it's like that.
Doesn't matter if it's a S&Y yard or not.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But those gangs, they would like integrate more than on the active yard.
Yeah.
You would see them like gang up to more Like there was no discrimination, white, black, Mexican, if you joined this SNY gang.
But you don't have to go through the proper channels to clean shit up.
That's
right?
what made it worse.
You can handle shit.
Every
on your
man
own.
for himself.
Yeah.
Hyenas, get off where you're mad at.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like they're extorting people. Like the active guard, you can't extort nobody.
Right.
Because you're over here, you're extorting people just because you got 50 homeboys behind you.
Yeah.
And y'all are gonna do whatever to.
Is there more like sexual abuse on those SNY yards? Because that shit's not really a thing, right?
My personal opinion, I never seen really no sexual acts in prison like that. But on those yards, there is people that there's transgenders, there's GBGs, it's like open. So like, yeah, you would hear stuff like in their car, like, oh, he did this to a cellie, but they're already in that. It's not like they just took someone's stuff, you know, like they're already in that life, both playing.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception about prison is that like people are getting their booty taken.
Yeah, I never
You'll get
that.
fucking killed for that. Yeah, it's not really like a thing. So, how do you feel like the isolation changed you? Or do you feel like it did?
So, after I got kicked out to that yard, and got kicked off that yard after that riot, and I filed charges for excessive force because they knocked my teeth out. I got shipped up to Kern Valley, where it was just as bad, cracking a level 4 180. And then I got another ride up there and got kicked to New Folsom, where I caught attempted murder on my cellie. And I got single celled after that for the next 5 years. So that's when the isolation, it's different being isolated with, say, this is our cell and we're talking, we can correspond, like to being in the cell by myself and it's just me, myself, and I to correspond with, you know. That's when the isolation hit me.
That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. And
how do you think that affected you?
Tremendously. Not even knowing.
Yeah. Were light bulbs coming on? Like, were you having self-reflection? Was God a part of any of this? Like,
I wish I could say God was a part of it. There would be times I would pray, but there were stages of it. You know, like one just still holding on to this. I'm a gangster. Like this is what comes with this. To the loneliness, to you know, these walls are closing in and they're starting to talk to me, and to just the madness, like of what using in their single cells, slamming a gram of dope, like just intensifying the demons, like, you know, and yeah.
So you were getting dope from visits. Got girls bringing it in. And,
my wife at the time would bring me dope almost every week.
And how, and I can't imagine anything worse than slamming meth in a single cell in a hole in prison.
Yeah, but
like the insanity.
Yeah, but in my head, I'm justifying it. I'm taking care of my kids from prison.
Right.
I'm taking care of rent, and then like my excuse was, it helps me escape. It helps me escape. It helps me escape these four walls to get in this hell in my head. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Selling dope on these yards and.
Yeah, I know. You're just willing to do anything to change the way you feel. You know, you're just trying to escape. Like, I'm sure you were having some issues like with identity as far as like, you know, being deemed and all that, and like trying to.
Maybe for the first year.
Yeah.
Like my pride was in the way. Like,
yeah.
Because it was like everything I did was for nothing.
Right.
You know, and then you get this, you hear this, oh, you're no good now. So when you go home, it's bad. You can't go to where you're at. You can't be doing those things. So it's like the people that you thought loved you, now you're not even a part of them no more because of these actions.
And was there any like guilt and shame for any of like being there, being not living up to being a father, like perpetuating this lifestyle? Do you think any of that
when the 10-year sentence came, like Christmases and birthdays, like I'd count the calendars like, you were supposed to be home 3 Christmases ago. Or you're supposed to be here for her birthday. That's when, like, it would hit me. Like, after I caught the attempted murder in prison, and, like, I'm watching my kids grow up in the visiting room.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, you can't be a parent from prison, I don't feel. And, like, trying to stay as most connected as I could with them. But, like, I was grateful that I'd seen them a lot and visit, like, but it didn't.
So your wife, how did you meet her? Was this your baby mom?
No.
Okay. This is a different woman?
Yeah.
From the streets? Or
From the streets.
Okay. And she stayed down for you the whole time?
The whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you do that whole... Well, let me ask you this. Did you have any exposure to God or recovery while you were in there?
So what's crazy? Like, when I look back on it, what's crazy, the day that I did the removal that I got the attempted murder for, like, we're walking in a long line down Tracy hallway. It's the east hall. Like, you're walking all down this long hall. Everyone from the whole building's walking down it, and you bend the corner, and there's a church right there. And there was these 2 white guys in front of me, and they're like, "Let's go to church, bro." Like, but as a northerner in Tracy, you're not even allowed to go to church. You have to be on the yard, right? So they're like, "Let's go to church, bro." And they were my neighbors and back from the block, and they're like, "Hey, man, come to church with us." And I was like, "Yeah, right, you know, like, whatever. I can't do that." I honest to God, I felt the tug that day, like, walking that church, like that. Like, man, that used to haunt me when I was in the cell after the first tenor. Like, I felt the tug that day. Just, I would have been deemed no good that day, or whatever, like, the consequences. But
it would have changed.
It would have changed my whole trajectory. I felt the tug that day. But as far as, like, I would read the Bible. Not really know what sometimes it would be the only book I would have in the cell. Like, especially being in the SHU, it was hard to come across books. So I would read it, not really believe in it, not really, like, putting my faith in it, not really understanding what I'm even reading.
Yeah. What about exposure to any type of recovery?
None.
Nothing.
They had meetings and stuff. I wasn't programming.
Yeah.
I'm selling dope.
Yeah.
I'm making money. I'm gangbanging still. I'm playing chess, not checkers, on these yards. I'm, like, trying to puppet master. I'm trying to use what I learned on the other yard, how to run a yard. I have little homies all under me. I got this, like, a defense thing going on. I'm like a scheme that I still took from the other yard. Like, instead of just hanging my jersey up when I was deemed, I still took everything that I right there, and I'm implementing it on those yards, thinking I'm a big shot because I'm the dope man on the yard.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So you do that whole 8 years?
Well, that's when I really knew, like, I did, like, the remorse thing you were talking about. I got 6 months to the house, and there were, like, future tripping, like, I'm gonna go home and hurt everyone that loves me. I'm worse than I've ever been.
Right back.
I'm the worst I've ever been. I'm slamming dope now. Like, my demons are
real
Hulk size now. You know what I'm saying? And I have no remorse.
How old were you
at this time? 33. 33.
No life skills.
No life skills.
Kind of what we were just talking about.
Right? No life skills at all.
Never made shit out here for yourself.
Ever. And everything that
were you afraid to come home?
Yeah, I was afraid of hurting everyone to do it all over again. And I tried to commit suicide in Folsom State Prison.
With dope?
With heroin.
And what was your mindset? Like, what was the reasoning? Just that
I'm a piece of shit.
And I don't want to perpetuate this any longer.
Yeah, I might as well just end it now. Like, it was just the easy way out. That's what it was, you know?
Yeah.
I wrote a letter to my daughters, like, looked at the pictures, and I like, cried and said, I'm sorry. I don't know if I was screaming at God or if I just wanted to get that out, and I did the shot. And by the grace of God, someone knocked on my door for a shot of coffee, and they found me on the floor, and they hit me with 4 cans of Narcan.
Brought you back.
Brought me back.
How'd you feel when you woke up?
The worst I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
Like a coward. like I was ready to throw in the towel. I quit. How could I just leave them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it was a mistake? Like you let your emotions get the best of you in the moment, and like you made a mistake, or was it like a well thought out plan, and like you tried to execute this plan? And
No, it wasn't. It was fast. Like
yeah,
I thought about it that morning at Chow, 5:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock after the first bar lock where they let everyone out for yard. I already had it kind of planned in that hour span. Like, man, when they go to yard, this is done. You know, I sat there and wrote this letter for 30 minutes, cried for 30 minutes, and felt like I had the courage to do it. I already had the rig ready the whole time I'm writing the letter. It's just sitting right there on my desk, and I'm like looking at my desk,
yeah,
right the whole time, like just looking at it,
just
knowing I got enough in there to knock down the elephant. You know, I pulled up as much as I could.
How much you think was in it?
I just didn't even weigh it with chapstick. I just put the whole spoon in it, put the water in, a little bit of water, and pulled up as much syrup as I could with the cotton.
Jeez. Do you remember the feeling when it hit you?
No.
It just lights out.
Yeah. I didn't even get it all in.
Yeah.
It just went out.
Yeah. So you wake up, were you relieved?
Of what?
When you woke up and you weren't dead, or were you like,
No.
fuck, I'm not dead?
Really, just all the weight hit me of, like I'm hearing those voices, you coward.
Yeah.
How could you do that? But as crazy as my disease is, they took me to the medical, scanned me, make sure I didn't have no more bundles inside me, and then put me in the cage in the program offices, and then released me back into my cell like after 4 hours. The sickness is I'm on the vent 15 minutes later telling, hey, homie, hey, shoot me a shot. I got to get well. And doing another shot.
Fuck.
And the truth of the story is I went home and did everything I thought I was going to do and didn't want to try to prevent by killing myself. I went home and hurt everyone that loved me. My wife at the time cheated, put my hands on her, wasn't a father to my kids, had a job for 5 days.
Yeah.
Tweaking out the gate. I went home to 2 ounces of dope that I was supposed to bring in, but COVID hit. So I had that dope sitting at the house, and, you know, off to the races we go again.
Yeah. So what was the bottom? What happened that made you want something different?
The bottom was some of my biggest, so I ended up back in jail again 3 to 4 months later. This time for a domestic violence. Some of my biggest fears happened while I was doing that 10 years. I had fears like my mom's gonna pass away. I'm not gonna get to tell her bye. Something's gonna happen to my kids. I'm not gonna be there to protect them. And 3, like I had the fear, I'm never gonna make it out of here. Like I was 33 days to the house when all this happened. I'm never gonna make it out. So 2 of the 3, when I went back the next time, 2 of the 3 fears happened. You know, my something happened to my daughter that I found out later about, that I wasn't there to protect her. So I held on to like that guilt on myself. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're not there, and I had to like.
Yeah, it's tough.
I put myself there. I wasn't there because of my actions, and then my mom passed away when I was in prison. And that's where the bottom came into me. I could say that for narcotics, for methamphetamines, you know. So my family didn't tell me for a month. I got on the phone one day, and my wife at the time told me, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but your mom's no longer with us." And I'm like, "Don't play," you know. And she started saying, "No, I seen it on Facebook. She passed away last month." And like I'm like, man, I'm off the phone. And being on those SNY yards, like you say, hurt people. I get off the phone, hang up the phone, and I tell a known sex offender, if you come out of your cell today, I'm on you. I'm gonna put hands and feet on you, on my mom. And sure enough, they came out. Him and his cellie came out for day room, and I did just that. And really, I just wanted to get out of there. I wanted to go to the hole. I wanted to be away from each other. Everyone wanted to go mourn my mom, you know. But me taking it out on him was like that. And I'm looking at the CO as I'm whooping this guy. He's not pepper spraying me, not even pushing this button for backup. And so I whoop him till I can't no more. And then the cop calls me to the CO calls me to the office because I was his porter. I worked as a porter at the time. And he goes, "What are you going through?" And I go, "I lost my mom." And he goes, "Did you get that out of your system?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you believe in God?" A God shot right then. Like after something traumatic happened, like God tugging at me again, calling me and says, the Bible says if you get saved, you see your loved ones again. So right there, I was like, what? Yeah, if that's what it is. So it wasn't so much I was like running to God at that point. Whatever it was to see my mom again initially, I'm like, I got to give it a try. I love my mom. I want to see her. I want to talk to her again one day, so.
And had you been in contact with her regularly at that time?
So the messed up thing is when I took that time for my last recent charge, I tried to go see her because she was in the hospital already because she had been smoking. She had an oxygen tank and then gradually got worse. She had to get a tracheostomy. Then she was in a home because of COVID and was prone to dying from COVID. So she was in Ohio. So when I was out the time before that, I was just going to go out the gate, fly out and see her. But my mom's like, "Sweetie, do the right thing. Get off probation. You don't want to be on the run. You'll get here." So I ended up going to jail like a month before I was supposed to get off paperwork. And when I went to jail that time, I asked for a Harvey waiver or a cruise waiver where they let me go for 10 days because my mom's in medical thing, not knowing when she's going to pass away. And the judge didn't. He was going to accept it. But the people at my mom's facility told my lawyer, she's making good recovery. She's looking good. We're thinking about releasing her soon. And so he denied it. And a month later, my mom passed away. So I didn't see my mom for, at that point, almost 17 years.
Wow.
Ever since I came out to Sacramento, just in and out of prison, the streets. I'm not thinking about seeing my mom. I'm in my addiction, in the lifestyle.
And had she gotten sober?
She got sober the last 5 years of her life.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Man. So that was the bottom, and then what was the turning point? Like, where?
It was the turning point for dope, and I had already stopped the lifestyle at that point. Like, because I had 3 strikes already, and I'm not ready to do a life sentence. And then the turning point was I got out, I got into recovery. I went to a church when I first got out, and a guy brought up something out of a book, some literature that we got, and a light went on. Like, that's what you need right there. So I started going with this guy, and he introduced me to my first sponsor the first time, and I felt like I had it. I had 6 months clean. Look at me, I got this. That was the turning point of it, and then my disease creeped back in, and slowly but surely.
So in that first 6 months, you were all in, or what? Were you doing steps? Were you service?
Not so much of service at that point, but I went through my steps.
And how'd that experience go?
Relief.
Yeah.
A lot of relief, a lot of spiritual experiences.
Yeah.
A lot of finding out a lot of about why I did a lot of the things I did. Like peeling back layers of the onion, gradually, into it. Tears involved, everything, learn how to be intimate with another man and to let go of my deepest, darkest secrets, things that I thought I would have took to the grave.
Right.
That I held on to that poisoned me from being the best me,
Yeah.
And I witnessed so much growth and all that stuff. And got a lot of trust back from my kids. Was able to hold down a job for a couple months, making it 6 months instead of 3 to 4 months, like my normal pattern, breaking chains. But I allowed my disease to throw those chains back on me once again. After that, I started smoking weed, drinking.
You just felt like you had it. I
felt like I had it. I completed 12 steps. I'm better now.
Yeah.
I can function. I'm giving myself small permissions.
Did anybody tell you that that's not the truth?
Yeah, I'm hearing it in the rooms.
Yeah.
But the voice in my head's telling me more, like, and the crazy thing
different.
is, it's my own voice.
I'm different.
It's my own voice. You never went to jail and smoking weed, you know, like,
I know.
and I'm justifying, like, I'm actually like looking back, like, oh, I was some dope that time. Like, weed ain't never been a problem for me, and weed led to a bottle, and then led me back into jail once again. I didn't pick up dope, like, that
Just
time,
alcohol.
so I proved myself wrong. Like, you do end up in jail on weed and alcohol, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and that's where the change was, like, the transfer was wholeheartedly over, because I got a taste of recovery. I got a taste of God. I had got baptized when I was out. I was of service. I was doing street ministry, going out and praying with people. I had these feelings of this peace, this love, and this joy, but most importantly, the forgiveness of God. Like, I'm not held accountable for everything that I've done in the past. That is forgiven, no matter how bad my my sheet looked, those charges and stuff. I didn't feel those feelings no more, because before that, I felt like the hideous crimes that I committed, that's who I was.
Yeah.
And I felt that freedom. So when I got incarcerated this time, the last time, I was fighting another 9 years, and I just gave it to God once again. Like, that's when I, like, really, because I found God when I was out that time. When my mom died, I prayed, and I told God, come into my life and stuff, and I, like, felt what He was doing in my heart, the transformations I was feeling, and when I went to jail at that time, I just prayed out again. It humbled me, took me to my knees, and took me to God once again. And I just told Him, God, you know my heart, you know my intentions, like, I have a problem again with this disease. I'm powerless. Like, if it's your will, because they have a thing out now called mental health diversion, and I'm going for this. If it's your will for them to grant me that and give me another chance, I'm going to go full-fledged with this. If not, I'm going to still serve you in here, like, I had already made that commitment. So for the 11 months I was in Sac County Jail, again, for that time, I'm in my word every day. I'm like, just trying to better myself, getting ready if I do got a chance of the streets again to do it. Because honestly, I felt in my heart I didn't have another 10-piece in me. I couldn't go do another 10 years.
Yeah.
So I went to court for the mental health diversion. I remember, like it was yesterday, walking up the stairs at the courthouse downtown, and just not even sweating, praying. But, like, if it's your will that I go home today, let your will be done. And if not, like, let your will be done. Either way, I can't be mad at you. I did it. I laid my bed. I got to make it. And I remember the judge granting my mental health diversion, and me being in tears.
What does that mean?
So what that looks like is my stipulations. I had to complete a 90-day inpatient program, and I had to go to court for a year upon my release. And after a year of
drug court or what?
No, mental health court.
Okay.
But it's like,
so they have, like, stipulations you have to follow.
Yeah, I had to follow.
Therapy.
Like, I got to go to a therapist
testing.
once a week, complete the 90-day program, drug testing, and after a year, the case will be dismissed. Yeah, so that I remember the judge saying, "You got it," and I'm already, like, in tears. He's like, "You hear me? Like, I told you, you got it." It was tears of joy though. Like, I get another shot at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a trip. When you, because I had that experience when I got sober too. It was like I was looking at 6 years, and it was like, it didn't even matter at that point. It was like, it doesn't matter how much time I do. It doesn't matter if I ever get my daughter back in my life. I needed to be sober for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I was done, and I just needed some peace and serenity, and, like, I needed to feel okay. 'Cause I wasn't okay. I was broken.
For sure.
And I was so tired of this same cycle, in and out, and, like, hurting people that I cared about, and not living up to my own expectations as a man and a father, and, like, all this stuff, and I had that faith in God, that same feeling like whatever is going to happen, but this is the way that I'm going now. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter where I go from here on out. I'm going to change my life and I'm going to come out of this a different man. You know, and just having that faith that it's in God's will, whatever is about to happen, you know, it gives you a little bit of peace, and like you're able to deal with the outcome regardless, you know. And that carries on today too. It's like when you're walking by faith and you're walking hand in hand with God, it's like you have an idea of the way things are supposed to go. You know what I mean? And like you might have some goals and direction, and you have like ideas of what is supposed to happen and how you think things are going to happen. But God has his own plans. You know what I mean? And you just want to do the next right thing, you know, day after day, like putting one day after the next and just do the next right thing. And give up the weight of expectation. You know what I mean? Like don't have all your heart set on an expectation of an outcome, you know, but just be trying to live in God's will and give the expectations of the outcome to him. Like he is in control, you know, so whether it works out for you or not, it's working out in God's favor, you know, like everything is working out for the good of God, right? So whether you think that's in your favor or not, it's in his favor, you know? And so when you're trying to serve him, it's easier to rely on that faith and walk in that. It's not easier, but it's the right way to walk in that faith. And I get peace in that, you know, because I know I'm not in control. And the longer that I've given up that control, or since I've given up that control, my life is much more peaceful, bro.
I love how you touch on that, because that's the ultimate word for it, peace, the serenity you get when you know that whatever you're going through, like I feel it at times, like if I'm trying to take the wheel back a little bit, like and not let him drive the car, like being obedient and surrendering, I feel like, dang, is this really what and I look past it, like he got something in store for me, like this is only temporary, this too shall pass, like and it's peaceful, like because you go through that storm, like I'm gonna get wet, but you're gonna come out and it's gonna be better, you know. And like you say, all glory goes to him when you do.
And you never know what's in store when you're just following his will too, you know. Like I've met people and done things I never thought I would be doing. I mean, this, you know, just trying to follow his will and trying to seek that out in my life. You never know what's going to happen. And it's a beautiful journey, you know, and it's not always beautiful. You know, things happen and then we go through stuff, but you know, that's the beautiful thing about recovery is like we learn how to deal with life without drinking and using, you know, and like
doing the next right thing.
And learning how to rely on God in situations and give up that control, you know, because I tried to control everything for so long, you know, and like try to control my environment, try to control people, control the way that I'm feeling, you know, and I just always wreck the car, bro. You know what I mean? Every time I'm in control, I fuck it up. You know what I mean? And so being able to give that away to the one that controls everything, right? The creator of the universe, like not just myself, but the ultimate power and authority, you know, trying to align my will with the ultimate will, you know, and I don't even know what that even looks like, you know what I mean? But my conception is, you know, what I read in the Bible and like what was Jesus's will on earth, right? And the things that he was trying to do and the things he was talking about, and those that feels right to me, you know what I mean? The things that he's talking about and the way that he lived out his life, and the gospel, you know, it speaks to me as a man. I didn't grow up in a Christian house, you know what I mean? I wasn't exposed to that type of stuff as a young man, but through seeking God and through, you know, finding God through these spiritual experiences and recovery, the more I sought him out, the more I was led to Christ, you know, and the more that I seek God, the more Christ is revealed to me in my life. And since making that decision to follow him, my life has just continued to blossom. You know what I mean? And it's been a beautiful journey. So let's talk about the weed thing for a minute, because it's such a real factor in recovery. Like people dance around the idea that, like, they call it California sober.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Clean.
Yeah, and it's a thing, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, and I had the same experience, you know, I thought I was okay because I wasn't smoking heroin.
Yeah.
At least I'm not, you know what I mean?
Putting the needle in my arm.
Right, I'm not committing robberies. I'm not doing all this crazy stuff. I'm not even drinking, whatever it is. But it always leads me back that way. For me, weed always led to alcohol. You know, and I'm an alcoholic. Like, I drink alcoholically.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem within itself. But alcohol always leads to drugs for me too. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's always this pattern of behavior. And I just wanted to get to the place where I don't need anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to rely on drugs to change the way that I feel. I want to be okay with myself. I want to be able to face reality without having to change the way that I feel. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be able to deal with life without numbing myself, you know? And so I don't want to have to rely on weed. And I smoke, I abuse it.
Yeah.
I'm smoking all day.
Yeah.
I'm not just like, okay, I'm going to, you know, I need to calm my nerves. I'm going to take a puff. Or like, I can't sleep. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Or I'm having trouble eating. I'm going to use this as a medication. I'm a drug addict, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm waking up, I'm rolling up a joint, and I'm smoking as soon as I get up. I'm smoking before I go to work. I'm smoking on my lunch break.
Yeah.
I'm smoking before every meal.
Yeah.
I'm smoking before I have sex. I'm smoking before I go do anything.
After sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything,
Yeah,
bro.
for sure.
It's always a part of this, you know, and the money you spend on it and the things you're doing, and, you know, it's a whole lifestyle, right? And you can wrap up your identity in that just as much as anything else, you know, like, I'm a stoner. You know what I mean? Like, you it's a whole culture.
Put another label on yourself.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
That
and
God
like,
did it.
Yeah, and I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to be me, and I want to be okay with me, you know, and to each their own, you know what I'm saying? But for me, in my experience, and I know this to be true for most addicts, it's like, you're probably lying to yourself if you think that you can use anything successfully.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what it was for me. When I did go back to smoking weed, it was the thought, like, man, I had a night job. I'm going to get off and smoke weed and just go to sleep, because after I'd get off at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd still sit at home till 8 o'clock in the morning, not able to sleep because I'm still wound up from working. I'm just going to smoke to go to sleep. That lasted 2 days. And then started playing it into my program. I'm a wake and bake. Wake and bake used to be fun. Like, oh, this food tastes so much better when I used to be high. So it wasn't a week, and I was smoking every day, all day. Like I say, for every little event, and not only every little going to work, getting off work, going to bed, eating, sex, whatever. Now when the feelings come, I need to smoke. Anxiety, depression, fighting with the old lady, I need to smoke. So weed became the answer to everything, my key to everything. And like you say, like, that lasted about a month, and I'm a full blown stoner.
Yep.
I need this.
Yep.
And then I'm drinking after that.
Yeah, for me, I would get too high, and then I would be like, oh, beer will calm me down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Not for what it was for me was the small permission that I gave myself with the weed.
Yes.
Like, oh, you're not acting up. You're at home smoking weed. You're not in the streets. And the just from giving that small permission to smoking the weed, like, you could drink a beer after work too.
Yeah.
Like, you smoke, that's a beer and
That addictive thinking.
and that's like one thing that, like, I tell my sponsees or people I talk to, those small permissions will kill you. Like,
100%. Literally.
you give that small permission, and then permissions just keep getting bigger and bigger. And
yeah, I know.
Next thing you know, you're doing it all again.
Yep. It's like you leave that door open at all. You know what I mean? And the devil's going to put his foot in that door, you know, and like talk to you in your own voice and help you to rationalize these decisions, you know, like why it's okay to have a beer, you know what I mean? Like, and it sounds totally rational.
Yeah.
Like, I've been sober 6 months. I've been sober a year. Like, one beer's not going to change my life. I'm not going to go drink and drive or beat on my girl, whatever it is, you know? And you might be right, bro. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You might be okay for a little while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might be okay for a year, 2 years, whatever, but it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And when you allow those permissions, when something is okay, then anything is okay under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Once
Because you're already there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're having a good time. You're a couple beers deep, couple shots deep. All of a sudden, your boy pulls out a bag. Your decision making is not there, you know, and you're gone.
Yeah.
And it's over.
What I noticed too when I did give myself those justifications and I'm smoking weed all day, from that 6 months I did have clean, the spiritual experiences, the spiritual connections I had, they just started slowly going away. The way I was thinking just slowly started changing back into the old way. Like, I'm starting to think I'm back to listening to this music. I'm back to justifying this life. All this stuff looks good to me that wasn't even attracted to me 6 months ago when I'm clean, when I'm serving God, like trying to be on a better path. I'm looking at the other path again. Like, it looks like there's more space on that. Like, I could be more free on that side, you know? And I'm just doing that. And what's crazy, so I'm grateful for that relapse, right? But when I came out of this jail this time, what's crazy is my disease was there again to tell me when I get a year clean, because I was willing to take the suggestions. I surrendered, but my disease would tell me, okay, we'll give them their year. But after a year, you can smoke weed. You love weed. And like, it wasn't honestly till like 9-10 months that I realized the spiritual high, the spiritual connection I got right now, I'm not willing to jeopardize that for a weed high. Like, to get high, I don't need to alternate nothing that I got going on right now. Like you said, those feelings will pass. But like the peace and the love and the joy in my heart, doing it, like just doing God's will, it's better than any drug I've ever had. 100%. I'm not willing to jeopardize me smoking a blunt and it stripping that away.
I know. I feel the same way.
But I'm glad that, like, I started feeling those feelings in my recovery, because like the first couple months, like I said, I was in a program, so I didn't really get to feel those things. But then like coming into the streets, being on my own and doing these things, being of service, helping people, meeting people like you and my sponsor, like, that made me feel like more of a man. These jobs that I'm doing, I'm accomplishing things, and like I got that inner self-worth that from myself, that I didn't need those things, you know. And and I'm so grateful that happened before my year, because if I say I wouldn't have had all those things, I wouldn't have went through my steps, I wouldn't have got that healing. When that year came, I might have listened to my voice again. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, I do. And you know, when you get some of this and like you go back out, it just don't feel the same, because like, you know, there's a way out, bro. You know, it's like, you know, you don't have to live that way no more. You know, you've seen the light. You've been touched by that relationship with God, and it's like, man. And then you have like some guilt and shame about that too, you know. And it's like, man. But, you know, when you really become involved in this lifestyle, you know, and you gain that peace and serenity, and like you have that spiritual experience, and you really get the fruits of this recovery program, drugs can't make it better. You know, they're only going to make it worse, you know. And when you come to that realization, then to use is just insanity. You know, because you know where it's going to lead, you know, and you know that it's not going to make this situation better. You know, it's only going to make it worse. And, you know, when you get to this point in recovery, it's like you just want to give it away, you know, and that's the beauty of the program and that's how we stay sober long term is by giving it away,
wholeheartedly.
you know, wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. It's like I know how you feel to struggle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to lose everything. I know what it feels like for nobody to freaking care, or feels like nobody cares. Nobody's there for you. Nobody's answering the phone. Nobody's coming to visit. Nobody's putting money on your books. Like, I know what that feels like. You know what I mean? I know
everyone that loves you.
Yeah, hurt everyone that loves you. That guilt and the shame, you know, and just being broke and busted and physically addicted and, you know, selling your soul for a freaking bag of dope, you know? Like, I know what that feels like, bro. And I also know what this feels like. You know what I mean? I know what that spiritual experience feels like when your whole life changes. I know what that peace and serenity feels like. And I got it, bro.
Yeah.
And I know the way out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all you want to do is grab somebody by the hand and be like, bro, you don't got to live like that no more.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, check this out. You know what I mean? You just want to give it away. And that's how the program works.
Yeah.
It's one addict helping another. It's one alcoholic helping another.
The therapeutic value. That you don't even know how therapeutic that is. To help the next person.
For both of us.
For any addict.
Yeah. Sure. And it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, and that's how it works, you know, because for people like us, like, I couldn't have that connection with a therapist. I couldn't have that connection with my mom. You know, like, she doesn't understand me, bro. She doesn't understand the things that I've done, the things that I've been through. She doesn't understand the way that feels, you know. She can't even comprehend it.
Yeah, at all.
She's not an addict. Only one addict helping another can really relate that way.
Yeah.
You know, and we know each other by the things that we've been through, right? And that's why it's important to go to these meetings and to be a part of this program, especially after you get sober, is like, you need to be there for the person that walks in, you know, because they come in broken and hopeless, and they might hear something that you say and relate to you, and you know, you go over to them and introduce yourself and change their life, bro, you know, just by being there. You know what I mean? And like we were talking about, it helps us both to be in that meeting. So you're at that point now. You got a little bit over a year, right? And like, you're on fire for recovery, bro. You know, and it's inspiring to see. And how, like, where are you at with your recovery right now and your process?
Being of service, giving back. Because like you say, I got a taste of that. And like, I want to see people do it. Like, just today, I had a friend, a homegirl, she knew someone that was getting out of the jail today from up here. And she's like, man, if we can get him to a meeting the first day and all that. And she picked him up and we went out to breakfast this morning. I didn't really want to preach and like stuff it down his throat, but I just told him like the simple things, like, if drugs is the answer for any of your problems right now, you need to like re-ask yourself the question, because it's never going to be the answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, the moment you put in, all bets are off. Like, whatever you're going through, good, bad, celebrate, whatever, don't, putting in is not the answer for that day, you know? And like, you know, like it says that we say promotion rather than attraction, you know, like not attraction rather than promotion, you know, and not just to like do that, but like to be a walking example. Like, this is what I do, man. Like, this is, but like, she like cried to me after she dropped him off, because she's like, I'm gonna feel responsible if he goes out, you know, and we can't feel like that, because what it is, we just want to see, we have those feelings, that those fruits of the spirit that we have because of our spiritual experiences and our clean time, and not even the clean time, but the work that God's doing in our heart. We want the next person to experience that, you know, and we want to give it away, what was so freely given to us.
Right.
Like, because this the biggest thing for me in my recovery today is to give it away.
Right.
Because they say you can only keep what you have by giving it away. And I feel that to be so true, because right, wrong, like, if I don't want to go chair a meeting, if I don't want to talk to someone after a meeting. I have to do those things because, like you said, you never know who's going to walk through that door. That what you went through, not even so much experience. Because I used to like put a block up with people. Like if you didn't experience the things I wouldn't even listen to you. I would block your message out. I wouldn't give it a chance really. But those feelings, like that's why I love hearing shares when people talk about those feelings that they felt during that time, that those hurting everybody, the remorse, the guilt, the shame. We all can relate to those feelings. That's one thing we all have in common, you know. So something you're going to say that's going to touch someone in that room. And I honestly believe that wholeheartedly, that anybody in the room can get up and chair a meeting. And after the meeting, someone in that room is going to be like, man, what you said resonated so much with me. So that means every addict in that room has a message of experience and strength and hope that has the power to change someone's life.
Yeah, and you, like, oftentimes you don't even think you're saying anything heavy, and somebody's going to relate to it, you know? And it's going to be somebody you didn't even really think would even relate to it. You know, but that's a big part of it, too. And if you're new in sobriety, like, just go in with an open mind, you know what I mean? And try to focus on the similarities, not the differences, you know, because it's easy if you're not a street guy to come into these rooms and be like, whoa, these guys are not my type of people, you know what I mean? And that's okay. You know, we're all different, but we all share these experiences in addiction, right? That's how we relate, is through those feelings, right? Of all that, you know, the depression and the chaos and the trauma and all those things that we go through in the streets. That's how we relate to each other in recovery. And then once we get sober, we relate through the process of recovery, and, you know, through the steps and through the, you know, the peace and serenity that we get through this program and the lifestyle of recovery. And it changes, you know what I mean? It morphs into something completely different, you know? And, it's been a beautiful process. And how has that process changed for you, like from the beginning of when you came into the rooms to, you know, to where you're at now?
What has changed?
Like how that journey of like from when you came in to where you're at now, like the process of going through the steps and then now giving back.
So initially, even when I got out and got the mental health diversion and went into the program, I wasn't even fully committed to stop using at that point, even though I'm telling God, you know, in my heart, I did get a taste of recovery. So I did enjoy those feelings. But like my initial thing was, I just don't want to go do that 10 years again. So whatever it takes. But thank God that sitting in those rooms on my hands long enough, going to those meetings, being in that house where the lady preaches, just do the next right thing. Relapse is not an option, no matter what. Don't put in. Like pounding that in my head, you know. It like I'm grateful for the meeting that the light turned on the one night when, and someone that I would have never thought I would have related to said something, and it was just like, man, that was me. That feeling that he just talked about, that resonated in my heart. And then I'm grateful for the people that I met in the rooms, because I've seen people. This is like where it really changed for me. Like I've seen people go through traumatic losses of their kids passing away on fentanyl, their sons committing suicide, and these people are not using. Like they're not getting high. Like you're seeing their whole world fall down, but they're not putting in. And then I just told myself, there's no reason, no excuse that I can come up with to put in. Like, you know, and that it just grew. Like I was of service, like my first month or two, I jumped on like little service positions because I was taking the suggestions, you know, be of service, get a home group, get a sponsor, find a higher power. I'm doing everything suggested because I'm latching onto these guys that I'm seeing. It originally started like I wanted to latch onto who I experienced for. Oh, you've been on a level 4 prison yard? I want you as a sponsor. But then you hear it in the rooms, find someone that got what you want, you know, and then so once I got to the point where I like was past that and I started latching on to people that was a good husband, was a good father, was a productive member of society, worked, took care of bills, you know, and I started latching on to those people, and I was willing to do whatever they told me. Like the same way I told you how I would look up to these guys when I was a kid because I respected them or whatever that the case may be. and they're giving me good advice. So I was willing to take any suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, so being of service, I was a greeter, and then at like 8 months, I got my first secretary position, and the service, it holds you accountable. Like you open the doors for these people, and you start feeling you're bringing in these chairs, and you're doing all these things, and I don't know, you feel like I love the, especially like the newcomer, like when you do see the light come on. And I love the predecessors that tell me, like, man, I've seen so much growth from you when you had 6 months to 9 months to 9 months to a year. Like, watching these people blossom in these rooms, you know, like you're in it. I'm in a meeting every day of the week, you know, so I'm seeing it. The people that's doing the work, you're seeing the results happen in their life. And like you said, God's did so many things. So many blessings have just landed in my life. So many God shots that the word coincidence don't resonate with me. That's God's way of staying anonymous to me. Like, that's not a coincidence. That's a blessing, and I'm getting blessed because I'm being obedient, and I'm putting in this work in this program, and I'm working my steps. And I had a sponsee. He had to do some more research. I pray for him, but like I haven't got to take another recovering addict through the steps, and I look forward to that day, you know, because you see it differently. And I remember my first sponsor telling me, and because I'd be like so grateful, like I'm getting this healing, I'm getting this spiritual experience from going through these steps, and he like broke down in tears. He goes, "You don't know, you're helping me more than I'm helping you."
Yeah.
And I haven't, I feel that by just chairing meetings, but you know, but I feel like it's not even, I feel it is like to have a sponsee or a sponsor, that's a more intimate conversations than you are broadcasting to the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like I look forward to that day.
Yeah, no, it's a powerful experience. And you're right, you get just as much out of it as the person working it, and you know, you get to relive all those steps, and like it's almost a more complete way to go through it because you're touching on things that, you know, things get exposed that maybe you didn't realize the first time you went through, and you know, you get to relate with that person and be vulnerable with another man or woman, whatever it is. And yeah, it's a powerful experience to see the light come on in somebody else and to help walk them through it, you know, and to see them get that peace, you know, and to see them get that healing and really, you know, get some change in their life.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing I hear in your story is that willingness, you know, like just being willing to take suggestions, right? To, you know, to get outside of your comfort zone and, you know, to try things, you know, be willing to have a relationship with a higher power, be willing to be honest with yourself, with other people, like be willing to surrender to this program and give it a chance, you know? Because for me, it's like, dude, I had tried everything else. You know, I had tried to skirt around this program. I had tried to trade one drug for another. I had tried everything, bro. You know, work these steps at different angles, skip steps, be my own sponsor, you know, only works, you know.
Be my own higher power.
Yeah, exactly. All that,
Yeah.
bro. And it wasn't until I was willing to get out of my own way, you know, and like actually listen and do the things that are suggested and not try to control everything and like really be willing to do whatever it takes, you know, to get and stay sober. You know what I mean? Because my fucking life depends on it. And that's the honest truth. Is like, if I can't stay sober, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
That's how I use drugs. Like, I will die or I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. And that's just a death sentence anyways, you know? And I don't want to die like that, bro. Like, I have more in me to give than prison, you know, or death with a fucking needle in my arm, you know? Like, I have more desire to live and to be a father and to, like, give back, you know? Especially once I got some of that God in my life, man, I just wanted to continue to open up and to like grow this relationship and like see where this is going to take me, You know, it's been such a beautiful experience, and I just look forward to the future every day. Like, it doesn't matter what comes, you know, because I know like it's all good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy. Like that almost brings me to tears. Like when you think about like, what has he got in store? Like when you see these little things happen, you're like, man, it's remarkable. Like the people, for one to see someone else change their life and come to a higher power that's loving and caring and forgiveness, and to like just see these things not only in my own life but the people around me's life. Like what the possibilities are endless. Like
They really are.
It could be heaven on earth. Like it is.
Yeah.
It's like what you do with it, being obedient and surrendering.
Yep.
And it's just, I can't wait.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that you're on the right track, bro. And I'm very grateful, you know, for you and you know, for you coming into our life here and you know, to see where you've come from and you know, everything that you've gone through, you know, and that's the beautiful part of recovery is like people like us, you know, all the stuff that we went through and all the negative things that we've done, it doesn't have to be in vain, right? Because we get to use that experience to help another person.
Absolutely.
And that's the beautiful part of this program. And, you know, I'm grateful for your experience and, you know, I just look forward to the future to see what God has for you, bro. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Victorious we became, but never forgot where we came from. Life or death, not a game. We came to change the lane. Recovery addicts, that's the name. Give yourself a break, just one day at a time. You were born to shine, so live and let love be forever. My sister, my brother, don't give in. Please remember, the lie is dead. We do recover. Welcome home.